We're now at 5:45. Welcome back to Good Day Orlando on this Monday morning. Chicago and a number of other large cities are preparing for a federal infusion to crack down on crime. Fox's Doug Luzader joining us live in Washington, D.C. this morning with more. And Doug, good morning. Good to see you on this Monday.
Good morning.
So this comes as the borders are promises to take action in most sanctuary cities. Let's talk about those cities and also Chicago specifically.
Well, and virtually all the cities that the president is talking about in terms of stepped-up crime enforcement are also, to one degree or another, sanctuary cities. And we're talking about, cities like Baltimore, Chicago, New York. So how far this goes isn't entirely clear. The president is talking about National Guard deployments to Chicago. At the same time, there is already stepped-up enforcement of immigration laws in that city. Even though it is a sanctuary city, that really just means that local law enforcement won't help. But they can't stop federal law enforcement from coming in and arresting illegal immigrants, for instance. So these immigration enforcement actions kind of continue apace in places like Chicago. And the question now is whether there will be National Guard deployments. And we just don't know the timing of all of that.
There was a picture that we put up, right as you were speaking, Doug, about a photo online about sending guards to Chicago. And there has, as you said, been some pushback on this. If you've got two sides who certainly, one side wants it, the other side doesn't want it. Doug, what could this lead to as we move forward? Can they just come in even though Chicago says we don't want you here?
Well, the president does have some authority in deploying the National Guard. Now, there would be some legal pushback, no doubt, and we saw that play out with lawsuits in California, for instance, where there was a determination from one federal judge that the administration had gone too far in terms of the role of those role of those National Guard troops. So they can't really perform law enforcement functions, but they can provide a presence. And that's really what we're seeing here in Washington, D.C. as well. National Guard troops just kind of being there. Armed troops, the idea being that helps suppress crime generally, even if they're not the ones actively making arrests.
And so what has the feedback on that been there in Washington, D.C.? And how do you think that could trickle down to other cities, right? Because they're there. And if they go to other cities, what would that look like in terms of how people may even feel about the administration moving forward?
Well, it would be different in Chicago than it is here in Washington, for instance, where the president has a lot more authority because of the federal nature of this city. But, this, like Chicago, is a heavily Democratic city, more so than Chicago even. And yet there has been some level of cooperation from the mayor here. We haven't seen the mayor kind of drawing lines in the sand here in D.C. as the mayor in Chicago has. So it's a much different kind of reception, but it's a different authority that the president has here as well.
Interesting. All right, Doug Luzader, I always enjoy talking to you, friend. We'll do it again tomorrow.
Thanks, Danielle.